There haven't been too many winners in the altcoin market in the last month. Mainly we saw red, but ZCash outperformed most cryptocurrencies. Let's have a look at what's behind this. Let's try to find out how much longer this could potentially last. So we're currently at $41. We went up by 75%, and that happened while Bitcoin pretty much just went stand still. Now this outperformance of ZCash is very far from the norm. Usually the ZEC token or the ZEC coin tended to do worse than Bitcoin. Let's have a look at the relative valuation chart. So this is a chart starting in 2019, and this is ZEC relative to BTC, and we have seen an underperformance of almost 95%. The rally that we're seeing recently in the grand scheme of things tends to just be somewhat of a retracement. Now let's try to first find out where this underperformance came from. What exactly happened here? Because this is not the typical altcoin underperformance. This is way worse than your typical altcoin. I think there are two potential reasons, and they are both related to tokenomics. Now on the face of it, it looks like ZCash has very similar tokenomics to Bitcoin, because the total end supply is 21 million, very similar to Bitcoin. But here's the first problem, because there is a potential conflict of interest. 20% of all of the block reward goes to the development fund. So this is not just the miners getting their reward, it's an active channeling of funds to developers. Now, how much do they deserve, those 20%? Your guess is as good as mine. But the second problem is that ZCash had been launched way after Bitcoin. And so even though the emission schedule might be similar, we are much earlier in its lifetime. We are currently at 8.3% of annual inflation. This will get cut in half in October of this year, but it's still roughly 10 times the inflation of Bitcoin at the moment. Now here we can also see the first potential reason for the rally, right? The upcoming halving. And that might create quite a bit of attention. But let's try to find somewhat of a fair value for ZCash. Let's have a look at how much ZCash is used on chain, how many transactions are happening, and what's the current market cap of ZCash. So let's compare this simply with Bitcoin. So here we've got the number of daily transactions. It hovers around 4,000. So that's for ZCash. Now here we've got the number of daily transactions on the Bitcoin blockchain. That's roughly a 100x compared to ZCash, right? We are at around 400k or so transactions per day on Bitcoin. And so the logical conclusion should be that Bitcoin could be roughly 100 times the market cap of ZCash. Is this what we are seeing? Here's the market cap of Bitcoin. It's 1.2 trillion or $1,230 billion. And when we divide this number by 100, right, because of the number of transactions, we would expect to see ZCash's market cap to be roughly 12 billion. Now here's the actual market cap of ZCash. It's less than 1 billion. So that would imply that maybe from here there could be another 10x in relative valuation. Let's have a look at how this would actually play out on the chart. Again, the relative valuation chart, we divide the ZCash price by the Bitcoin price. A 10x would bring us on the chart roughly around here. So it would look like this drop had never happened. Now here's the thing though, right? Too many people look just at supply. For example, we've got the stock to flow model in Bitcoin. People think that Bitcoin's price will 10x every 4 years because the supply gets cut in half. How does this look like actually for ZCash? Because we've got both demand and supply. Is there actually growing demand for ZCash over time? Now, unfortunately, we can't really conclusively answer this because most trading volume happens on centralized exchanges, especially on Binance. But we do have a version, a bridged version of ZCash to the Binance Smart Chain. So if you don't want to rely on buying ZCash on Binance, you can go to the Binance Smart Chain and buy this ticker symbol over here. Let's have a look at the number of holders of that Binance ported ZCash token. On the left side, we see the number of wallets that have at least 10 ZCash. In the middle, we've got the number of wallets that have at least 100 ZCash. And on the right, we've got the number of wallets that have at least 1,000 ZCash. So we go at 10x with each of those moves. And again, one ZCash is currently worth $41. So it's $400 on the left, 4,000 in the middle, and 40,000 on the right. And what we see is that all wallet cohorts, so small retail as well as the whales, tend to accumulate. Not super quickly, but they're also not selling. So this is positive. But still, the main problem is that a lot of ZCash is held by the centralized exchanges and they might be manipulating the price, and that's potentially why we've seen such a massive dump and now subsequent pump. It could be simply manipulation by the whales, potentially through perpetual futures contracts. So check this out. This is the perpetuals and a lot of trading volume. 85 million to be more exact in the last 24 hours happened on Binance. Now, besides the potential manipulation through the perpetual futures, there is a potential Damocles sword hanging over the ZCash price. And that is, unfortunately, yet again, Grayscale. So in case you're not aware, there was a lot of selling pressure on Ethereum in the last days because of the ETF launch of Ethereum. So Grayscale converted from a trust to an ETF, and then a lot of people sold their Ethereum through the new ETF. Now the issue is that Grayscale also has a ZCash trust. The ticker symbol is ZCSH. And if we ever see rumors around a ZCash ETF, we might see, upon launch at least, a lot of selling pressure as well. Again, of course, through the Grayscale conversion. There were times where the net asset value were higher than the price, so that was a nice time to buy this trust to then bet on the ETF conversion. Currently, the net asset value per share is not as high as the market price, so it does make sense to rather buy ZCash on Binance or on the Binance Smart Chain. I'm personally not going to open any position on ZCash right now. I'm not shorting it, I'm not longing it. There's simply too much influence by the large centralized exchanges on the price, but I will continue to make updates on this crypto here on this channel. If you don't want to miss those updates, feel free to subscribe. If you feel you learned something, feel free to also give this a like. It helps the channel grow. In case you've got Telegram, you can also join us. The link is down below. It's 100% free. Looking very much forward to chatting with you. Cheers.